Memorial Day means nothing to Americans. War means nothing. History means nothing. Nothing. It's a bumper sticker phrase that is used that connotes some kind of feigned, choreographed allegiance to something. Doesn't mean anything. Absolutely nothing. America is a series of cliches. We honor those who have fallen to guarantee our freedom. That's why they fell. That's why they may have theoretically fell. Did they fall to secure our freedom? No. And that's good because that means our freedom was intact. We're not really sure why they fell. We don't even know why things happen. We don't even know. The only thing that most Americans know specifically is World War II because of Pearl Harbor. And that they understand pretty much. I think. What was it, 82 years ago? So, I mean, it's sort of. Americans, when it comes to history, know absolutely nothing. In Vietnam, there's a book I reread or looked at. It's called Dispatches by Michael Herr. It's one of the greatest Vietnam pieces ever. And it's nothing but the brutality of war. Brutal beyond anything anybody has ever seen. Brutal. Now, I hope wars like Vietnam never occur any more. I hope not. Because if you look at the people who are being advertised as being those who evince the American way of thinking regarding war, is kind of a woke, kind of a dance group, John Waters dystopian aspect. If that's it, they can't. There's no way they can do it. Do you think a Dylan Mulvaney can handle 6 weeks without bathing in the mud? No, I hope jungle warfare is never going to be the thing. But does anybody have any idea of what Iwo Jima was? No. None. Absolutely none. And what's interesting about war is the first thing you do with war is you change the facts. You always change them. It's a story you can change. People are it's so funny. In our country, we worry so much about copyright and copyright rights and not veering from the image and fair use. But when it comes to history, we make it up as we go along. And we can say anything we want. There's a statistic, and I want to read this to you, and it's subject to debate, obviously. And people will immediately not like the story, and you will tell immediately why they don't like the story. But let me give you a fact. Let me give you a factoid. By the way, factoid, please don't use factoid as fact. Factoid does not mean fact. It doesn't mean, it means kind of the opposite. But listen to this. 80% of Soviet males born in 1923 died in World War II. 80% of Soviet males born in 1923 died in World War II. Now, you're going to hear, as soon as you hear Soviet, they're going to say, dispute it. Bring in the Wikipedia people. Bring it up. Come on. No. We can't have this. Change it. Well, they died, but it was famine. It wasn't really the war. Well, a lot of people, 15% of the population died in World War II. The numbers are just unfathomable. You can't imagine it. And what I'm also finding out right now is that most people, and particularly I say Americans a lot because that's the only country I'm really familiar with. I can't really speak about, Argentinians, but when it comes to imagination, Americans are unable to handle a lot. That's why AI and AGI you're wasting your time even remotely attempting that. History is about changing the facts, and Memorial Day means nothing to the American people. It means absolutely nothing. It's about the first day of summer. It's about getting to the beaches, or how many people are going to be on the road, and what are the AAA What does AAA say? Hey, what does AAA say about the roads and about gas? And hey, make sure you wear that sunblocker on. Let's go to our roly-poly, goofy weatherman to discuss the roly-poly, goofy world of weather with little graphics of parasols and beach umbrellas and the beach and hitting the beach and wear that sunblocker. Wear that sunblocker. Everything's fine. Everything's back to normal again. Don't worry, shh. Don't worry. Memorial Day. Yeah. Okay, whatever. We support our troops. Support our troops. Support our troops. Support our troops. We support our troops. Remember after 9/11, we support our troops. That little that yellow ribbon that went on the back of all the SUVs. We support our troops. You don't support anything. America doesn't support anything. Nothing. We didn't even get the facts right. We didn't even care about the facts. We have no interest in this. We have this kind of it's like what version of the history do you like? What was your favorite James Bond? Which Superman did you like? That's who we are. And we're still unable to even figure out Vietnam. We still can't figure, with all of the attention and all of the music and all of the protest and everything. It was in the news every single night when I was, I guess, a kid. Every night, Walter Cronkite showed the pictures. We all had people, and I miss Vietnam by I think they stopped selective service when I was, or maybe, no, Vietnam was, I think it was over when I was like in a junior, anyway, it just ended. Thank God. Can anybody blame anybody for running to Canada? Well, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. I did it. I went. I understand that. Question is, can you blame somebody? If somebody says, I'm not going to be in Vietnam, I'm going. You're a coward. Okay, maybe. Can you blame them? See, that's the thing that's really weird. It's almost like escape. You're escaping something. You're escaping something that you really want to have nothing to do with. Americans care nothing about Memorial Day. Nothing. It means nothing. It's nothing. America doesn't care about anything. Let me tell you another little thing, too, which is interesting. It just kind of says it all. Sort of. When you get into YouTube, you have no idea how complicated this thing can be. You have no idea. And how many people break the rules and follow the rules. And there are brilliant young people in particular who know the specifics of everything of YouTube, from thumbnails to CTR rates to click-throughs to getting the right length and the description and what hashtags you use and this, and how to get your greater exposure and greater click-throughs and greater impressions and all this kind of stuff. How do you do that? How do you work with the algorithm? Okay, here's what they never say, and I find this says it all, and it's not just YouTube, but it's everything. They never say, make it smarter. This is too dumb. This is too juvenile. Make it smarter. Make it more. Talk more about the complexity of the issue. Throw in more facts. Make it longer. Go in more to the history. Be more like an academic frame of reference. Never. You will never hear that. Tell them more about why this matters, and tell them no. Use bigger words. No. Use a different context. Cite textbooks. No. And it's not just YouTube, of course, but it's everything. I happen to we're looking at some various things, and I'm listening to just the first part, because you have to look at Fox News not as a consumer of news, but as an indicator of where it's going. People will follow news. Fox News got the word. That's it. Roger Ailes is dead. Rush Limbaugh is dead. That's over with. That's done. You can talk about things in a very, very kind of a fluffy exterior form, but don't go too deep, and don't go into the specifics of it. In any event, it is so. If you think you have seen imbecilic, juvenescent, synthetic, layered lunacy. You have not watched this lately. It is beyond anything you've ever seen in your life. Beyond anything you've ever seen. And that's where it's going. And it's not just it, but the party, politics, the movement. Remember, this is the go-to site, what used to be, for the hardcore base, the core of American Republican conservatism. This is it. And if this is what they're getting, the moral of the story is it's now sophomoric to the point where I don't even recognize this. Let me give you an example. One of the most significant events happened yesterday regarding the re-election of Erdogan. Why is it important? NATO. Why is NATO important? NATO was Ukraine. Huge. That's it. Nothing. Putin calls him up to allies with Putin. Nothing. Strategic? Absolutely. Important? Absolutely. Covered? No. Why? Too deep. We want bigger thumbnails, bigger words, more expression, more colors, fewer words. Just give me too deep. Too incredibly deep. Let me tell you something. This is a wonderful exercise. Don't get me wrong. I love this, and I love talking to you, and it's wonderful. But let me tell you what I'm talking about on what I think is what I go into much more depth on regarding. These are the stories that I have backed up. First, this is shocking turn of event. Lululemon fires employees for confronting store robbers. Now, what does this mean? It's not what you think what it means. When we go into detail, it's not like, can you believe that? Can you? They will just talk about can you believe that they called the police, that they fired them? What does that mean? Well, what does that mean? Where is this coming from? I don't know. I just want to react. Okay, that's number one. Number two. Putin congratulates dear friend Erdogan after Turkish election, and American media scratch their heads. Again, why? Why is that important? What does Turkey mean? Who is this guy? Erdogan? Is that Atlantic Records? No, pronounced Erdogan, and by the way, it's Turkiye, right? Another one I did. It's called America's Sock Puppet Media. The blackout on Biden corruption is truly, as Jonathan Turley says, Pulitzer-level stuff. Systematic heritage, legacy media, deliberately looking the other way, is something that is beyond anything anybody's ever even seen. Beyond anything. And let me give you some others. This morning I talked about, earlier, Chinese comedy group, punishment scares the you-know-what out of the arts sphere. And American, for example, and again I'm sticking to American only, American reflection will only stick so much as far as cancel culture. That's as far as it goes. I also write about scary alternatives to the First Amendment to enforce hate speech prohibitions. This is the most interesting because this is what's happening in a legal sense. This is what I see. They're changing their approach. You're going to be using things like group libel and the same type of theories that went into copyright problems that people had regarding the imagery of American Indians and Native Americans and the like. CNN poll, 66% of Americans believe another Joe Biden term will be disastrous. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means some things are kind of interesting. But if you were to go and you were to talk about this on TV news and you were to say, well, what does this mean? That's the subject. They will talk about how bad he is, how terrible he is, he's awful he is, he's terrible, he doesn't know what he's doing, blah, 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 blah. You got it? That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. But what does this mean? There's no analysis. Remember, we live in a world of big words, big big pictures. Pictures. We want pictures. We want very, very simple things. That's the way we are right now. And you will never be able to see that more than there's one thing that the prototypical quintessential archetypal American conservative loves more than the flag and military. And will not be able to explain to you what this means. I will not be able to explain to you how Vietnam had nothing to do with my freedom. Stop saying that. Stop saying that. What does this mean? What are you talking about? You're just saying that. It's a cliche. So people say, I love you too. How are you? How are you? Have a nice day. How are you? How's it going? Great. How's your day? Great. How's it going? We say things. It's almost like an AI. One of the things about artificial intelligence is predicting the sentences, the next word of sentences. This is part and parcel of what's going on. AI, one of the most important things is predicting the next word. A lot of what we're saying, you are predicting. You know what I'm going to say next. You don't even have to even think about it, because you've heard speech for so long. You've heard. Whereas if you're a new English speaker, you're not familiar, so you have to listen to each word. Interesting. You have to listen, and kind of listen to what people say, and inflection and things like that. That is what we're happening. Or that is what is happening. Pardon me. Now, right now, again, let me explain to you what's happening. Today, Americans forgot everything. Everybody forgot everything about during our COVID time. That is another thing that is done. It is over. It is done. It is finished. We learned nothing. Let's move along. Forget it. You got it? You got it? Now, we love, the media, love stories that are the easiest to understand and that are not the most nutritious. There are things that we we're talking the other day to probiotics and prebiotics. It was about gut flora. I was talking to a friend of mine. He looked at me and he said, you could tell the look in his face was, I have no idea of what you're even remotely talking about. I said, have you ever heard anything about gut bacteria? Have you ever heard the word? No. You've never come across the word? Most people will say, yeah, I've seen that because I see it in articles. I've never stopped. Okay, good. That's recognition versus recall. I have no idea. Look to see what's important. Time for a Bud Lighting. The latest national chain facing boycott calls for selling Pride onesie for babies. Where is this going? And why is this supposed to be the focus of this? Do you understand this? So anyway, make a long story short, don't go too deep into this. Oh, look at this bullseye! Target loses $10 billion in 10 days after boycott calls over LGBTQ friendly kids clothing. They are fascinating. This is the most fascinating thing. This absolutely, positively is the most important issue to American conservatives today. This is it. Nothing is more important than this. You understand this? Nothing. They love this more than you can imagine. Because it is simple. It makes sense. And this is why we are doomed as a society. Doomed. And I say that, and I'm not kidding. I mean doomed. We are absolutely doomed. So that's what's going on today. So, here's what you can do. First, if you want to really honor someone today, honor, whatever that means, just like when people say, I'm praying for you. What does that mean? I don't know. I'm just praying. Our thoughts and our prayers are with you. What does that mean? What does it mean? It's kind of an expression. How much are you praying? Oh, I say a little prayer. So you're saying, yeah, I just kind of say it. So if you want to honor, one of the things you can do, which is the most interesting, is understand the following. What is war? How do you define it? What has been the history of it? Why doesn't anybody use the Constitution anymore to involve itself in war? Here's one for you. When you're done, do this. Always research. Use this incredible research tool. American military bases, around the world. Okay? Think about this. Despite recently closing hundreds of bases in Iraq and Afghanistan, hundreds, the U.S. still maintains nearly 800 military bases in more than 70 countries and territories abroad, from giant little Americas to small radar facilities. Britain, France, and Russia, by contrast, have about 30 foreign bases combined, and we have 800 military bases. 800. Now explain that. And by the way, when I say explain that, that doesn't mean start typing. It means, it's kind of a rhetorical thing. Explain how we do that. How does that even remotely work? Start with that. Talk to anybody today. When you're at the pool, when you're at the beach, when you're doing whatever it is that you're supposedly doing, ask yourself, how do we have 800 military bases? How does this even remotely work? Tell me. What business? Where is this money coming from? Somebody said the other day, well, I don't know where, by the way, in 70 countries, 800 military bases in 70 countries. And Britain, France, Russia, 30 countries combined. Okay. Now, somebody said the other day, well, I don't know about that Social Security. I don't even know if Social Security is going to be here. I don't know. I don't even know if Social Security. You've heard people say that. I don't know if Social Security has been. I paid into that, but I don't even know whether Social Security. And you will never hear anybody say, well, you know what? We're in 70 countries, but I don't know if that's even going to be here. I don't know if we're going to have enough money to be in all those countries. You never heard. Well, I don't know whether we're going to be in 800 military bases. I don't know with the money. We may have to scrap that because you don't have the money. You never hear that. You talk about debt ceiling crisis. You talk about raising the age of retirement. You know how that is. Entitlement programs. That's what you'll hear about. School lunches, WIC programs. That is it. You will never, ever, ever hear anybody say, I'm not really sure about this military. What does the military do for us now? What is it? What is the point? Seriously, what do you think the future of warfare is going to be? Dogfights with F-35s? Do you really mean that? Do you really think we're going to have that? I don't think so. Whenever there is going to be some type of a war, we're going to say we want to do something to shut down. The idea of just sending planes over and bombing something is just ridiculous. Why would you want to do that? The only reason you want to do it is to pay the military-industrial complex and to pay those people who are responsible for keeping this going. That's it. War is about money. War is a racket. Smedley Butler. That's it. So ask that today. 800 bases, 70 countries. So just ask people. Ask what your friends are. And watch. And seriously, I want you to take note of their expressions. Watch what they say. They'll say to you, I really don't. I'm not really sure what that means. They're just incurious. So it goes back to what I said before. If you want a really good video, YouTube video, have a nice thumbnail, nice and bright and colorful. Limit the words. Be very, very, no, don't be nuanced. Just say this. This is this. This is it. Don't be very long. Don't use big words. and you do just fine. And also keep them entertained. Don't make them sad. Don't make them... Nobody wants to hear about Memorial Day, about memories and death. Nobody wants to talk about it, especially on a day that is theoretically dedicated to those people who died. And when it comes to Vietnam, the last time we had a draft of this sort, that was so brutal, so ridiculous, so unnecessary. It was unnecessary. Unnecessary. With World War II, you could say, were it not for World War II, the complexion of Europe would be obviously different. But after Vietnam, after 10 whatever years, nothing. We're going there for tourism. And they're communists, but not what people think. Why? Because Americans don't even know what communism is. They still use the word Marxism. I've spoken enough. I remember one thing. When you want to do this, let me just warn you something. Don't expect anybody to ever invite you back to your Memorial Day pool party because they don't want to hear this. People just do not. They're not interested in this. Nobody wants to talk about history, facts, health, none of that. They just want to be amused. Just amuse me. Tell me I'm great. Let's take some pictures. Let's smile. I can't wait to post my pictures on my Facebook to show how great and how lucky I am and look how cool I am. Here I am at the beach. And I also, one thing, yesterday we're driving around, I think I told you this, here in New York City. And the number of women walking around in the most hideous of outfits. There was a time when people would actually say, do I look fat in this? Or does a certain portion of my body look large? And that was the thing. People would. I remember one time asking, why do so many women tie jackets and things around their waist? Well, it's because of their... What do you mean? Well, because they got a big what? Well, they got a big, they don't want people. Oh, I see. So they're doing because, yeah. They don't want people to say, oh, okay. Today, now I don't want people to walk around and shame themselves, but I saw stuff yesterday that isn't even appropriate at the beach. And it's a complete collapse in self-respect and in modesty and the like. So that is it, my friends. You have a wonderful day today. Please enjoy yourself. Don't get too heavy. Don't get too heady. That's my department. Don't do that. Please just go and have fun. Take a day off. Relax. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. 101 likes. Please like the video. Remember, subscribe. You got to subscribe to the channel. This is what tells these people, hey, this, unless you want to see more unboxing of curling irons. Now that's big stuff. Or hey, how many videos do you want to see on how to make a steak? Have you seen this? Have you seen how many YouTubes there are? How to make a steak. Does this confound you? Have you ever been really perplexed and bamboozled and sidelined by the complexities of the Maillard reaction? I don't understand this. I don't understand why you're so... It's good that people are interested in this, but maybe because it's fast, I don't get it. In any event, who am I? Always complaining, always pointing out the obvious. Well, today is Memorial Day. Remember, the issue is very simply this. Remember, it's not about how many people died for our country. It's how many people died unnecessarily. That's the issue. You see how Memorial Day makes it seem noble? It sloughs over the fact that these deaths were unnecessary by basically saying, oh, let's honor them. Oh, you don't want to say that they died in vain. Oh, no. That's disrespectful. Really? I don't think so. I think that's our duty. Don't let it happen again. And it will happen again. Guaranteed. Look at what people are saying right now about war. But I digress. I'm a broken record. Look, you have a wonderful day. See you tonight, 7 p.m. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. And until then, remember these words, our valedictory, our sayonara. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.